What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday to everybody. Hopefully, everybody had a good start to their weekend. Before we get started, let me know if the audio is good. Let me know if the visual is good. Let me know if I'm cutting out or not. I got a little bit of background music, and the last couple of weeks, the background music been messing with the mic. So hopefully, it's not messing with the mic right now. So let me know if I'm good, man. Shout out to everybody already in the building. Shout out to the 25 people already in the building. Make sure you hit that like button on the way in. It'll let the algorithm know that we in the building. And the algorithm let other Giants fans know that we in the building. That's a fact. How's everybody doing tonight? I see we live already, man. The chat already going. Happy belated birthday to my man Christopher Tony. Said his birthday was last Tuesday. Happy belated birthday to you. Shout out to my man OKC Donald in the building. Said Dash, another Giant family reunion. Freeman, Freeman for the next head coach. He's young and he's a leader. Turn my volume down a little bit in my headphones. Just a little bit. And then OKC came back and said, retract my last statement about Freeman. He said, I just saw he has a $50 million buyout. Get defensive leader of men in here and get back to BTA defense. Dart, Malik, the O-line, everybody else going to do their thing. $50 million buyout. I'm going to have to check the Carfax on that. We're gonna have to check the Carfax on that one, man. Listen, if you go into the NFL, I wonder if it still matters if you go to the NFL. If that buyout still, is still there, if it's going to the next level. Usually that's like if you go, stop you from going to another college, you got that buyout like that. That's usually what it is. But I wonder if that stands going to the NFL. But nobody's paying $50 million for, buyout for a college coach in the NFL. That's not going to happen. I don't think that's gonna happen. So I'm until I check the Carfax on that one. Actually, we can get right into it. See, hold on, that was one of the talking points for the night. Let me get a quick roll call first, though. Shout out to my man again, Christopher Tony in the building, OKC Donald in the building. The Big Moo is in the building. What's going on, Big Moo? My man Jarius is in the building. Of course, Luann is in the building. What's going on, Luann? Shout out to the Knicks. This is probably the first time I got to really sit down and watch an entire Knicks game, undisturbed. Knicks was hot tonight, man. At the end of the second quarter, they were shooting almost 70%. The end of the game, shooting 60%. It was a good game. My parlay didn't hit though. I got everything but the double-double from Big Cat. I thought Big Cat was gonna get a double-double today. Guess what? Knicks was so hot shooting the ball, not too many rebounds. Even Mitchell Robinson got in there. I think he only had 8 rebounds. He didn't break 10 either. I thought I was going to get a double-double from one of those guys. Him and OG. Those are the two I didn't get. Parlay ruined. It is what it is. Shout out to FanDuel. Where you at, man? FanDuel, where are you? Knock, knock, knock. FanDuel, where you at? That dark friend is in the building. What's going on? My man Vince said, you the man, Big Dash. No, you the man, Vince. What's going on? How you doing? Joseph in the building. JDJ in the building. My man Ryan from the Big Blue Podcast. What's going on, Ryan? How you doing? My man Stacy in the building. What's going on, Stacy? Yeah, shout out to everybody, man. Hopefully everybody's having a good start to their weekend. My man Steven Arce in the building. What's going on, Steven Arce? I never asked you. Is it Arce or is it Arce? Let me know, man. Because I've been calling you Steven Arce for the longest, at least in my mind. Every time I think it's Steven Arce. Is it Arce? Is it Arce? I want to pronounce people's names the right way. Shout out to Mr. Lester in the building. Said, I ain't going to lie, Dash. I need us to lose. The tank is on. That is part of the talking notes tonight, too, man. We got a lot of things to talk about. Again, shout out to everybody. Let me get it so the comments are showing. And then let me go ahead and get right to the topics. You see the topics here. Going down the list, we're going to talk about Charlie Bullen talking about Abdul Carter this week. Yeah, it is what it is. We are going to talk about Marcus Freeman. Again, he's become a hot name. Every week, it seems like somebody else is new, up and coming, in the favorite for the New York Giants. We're also going to talk about this tank, winning a tanking. I also want to talk to you guys. I got some questions for you guys about some channel growth ideas that I have. I'm going to run it past you guys, too. And then also, chat topics that we do throughout, the show. Let's get to more of these roll calls, man. Luann says no tanking. That's a fact. No tanking. Not tanking without any cost. Shout out to my man Christopher Tony. Xavier, what's going on, Xavier? He says, how do you feel about the rumors on the coaches that we are looking at? Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Man. I still got my favorites. I was watching It was one of these. I don't know the name of the podcast. I was watching it, but former GM Ron Carthen from the Tennessee Titans. It's like a CBS show that he was on, and he was talking about like rebuilding the Giants, and he talked about possible coaching candidates and stuff like that. And remember, I was telling you guys about Aubrey Pleasant. About Aubrey Pleasant was a dark horse. I mean, possibly a long shot that he might not be ready this cycle, might be, the next cycle. Tell me why Ron Carthon said the same thing. This is a former GM in the NFL that said the same thing about Aubrey Pleasant. So shout out to Ron Carthon. I didn't like his take on rebuilding the Giants, though. I didn't like his take, but he did mention Aubrey Pleasant, so he's 1 for 1 right now for me. Fonzarelli in the building said Dash was good. I'm chilling, Fonz. It's Saturday. I'm here with my people, fellow Giants fans. Shout out to my man TP Way the Giant too. I don't know if he's listening. He will be at the game tomorrow. I was watching one of his he was on one of the Commander guys shows. I can't remember the guy's channel, but he had mentioned that he was driving out to MetLife. So hopefully, if he's not there already, hopefully he had continual safe travels for him heading out there to MetLife to enjoy that game tomorrow. And for the people that want to tank, one thing, and I believe the streak is still current. Every game that TP has gone to, and now he can correct me if he's wrong. If he's listening, I don't know if he's listening. He might still be on the road. I don't know. But as far as I can remember, every game that he's gone to, the New York Giants have won. So for the people out there wanting to tank, you got something else going against that. Outside of the Giants possibly just being better than the Washington Commanders, which I think we absolutely are, especially going against Mariota and them. Where did I go? Okay, Xavier says, how do I feel about the room? Okay, I think I caught that already. Looking at, yeah. Before we get into that, though, I saw breaking news. I saw earlier in the week that the Colts had signed Phillip Rivers to the practice squad. Obviously, anybody that knows that he was possibly had the chance of starting, right? I thought it was going to be far-fetched, but once they signed him, I said, oh wow, they planned on starting Phillip Rivers. And sure enough, we got the news today, the update today that Phillip Rivers is going to be starting for the Colts tomorrow. Man hasn't played since 2020. It's like the Giants are down bad, right? We're down bad. A lot of teams are down bad, but the Colts, it's unfortunate what happened with Daniel Jones. Like it's unfortunate what happened with Daniel Jones, but just the panic. You go out and get Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers. The man ain't played in years. You know he's not 44 years old. Phillip Rivers. Man, it's going to be a movie tomorrow. It's going to be a movie tomorrow. I don't want to watch that game. I just want to know. I want somebody to keep me up to date with what's going on with Phillip Rivers. Now, if Phillip Rivers goes out there and balls, I'll fall out my chair. In all honesty, I will fall out of my chair. But just the thought of that. And then did you guys see Cam Newton's reaction to it? Oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy to me. And also, man, for the GM, just think about your backup quarterbacks, how they must feel. Obviously, Anthony Richardson is gone. He's dealing with the injury. He's on IR. Daniel Jones goes down. But you telling me the other quarterbacks you have in the building, none of these guys are a better option than Phillip Rivers. Come on, man. Shout out to Joe Ferris in the building. What's going on, Joe, with the $5 super chat? He says, new coaching candidate on the market. Come on now. Sharon Moore, a strong, rich black man, goes kaboom because a nice, oh boy, come on, man. Listen, man. Jerome Moore, respectfully, is a dummy. And when you do dumb things happen to you. And that's the case of Sharon Moore. Way to ruin, an opportunity, I would say. Way to fumble the bag as well. And also, more importantly, way to fumble your family. Disrespectful. Nasty work right there. Absolutely nasty work. Hold on just a moment. Let me check. That's funny too. My wife just texted me. She said I was talking about Cam. I was talking about Cam Newton. She said, what about Colin Kaepernick? He can't get a call, and he's been working out every. And then Phillip Rivers. It is what it is. We know what it is, but it is what it is. Shout out to everybody again. Shout out to my man Born for Sports in the building. He says, salute to the homie and one of the Hall of Fame content creators, Big Dash. I appreciate the love and support. Not going to make the game tomorrow due to the weather in my neck of the woods, but I am hoping to beat the stinking overrated Commanders. That sucks too, man, because I know, like I said, I know TP Way is on his way to the game if he's not already safely, at his hotel or whatever. So I know you guys probably would have met up. But I was talking to my mom, too. My mom's still in Jersey. She said they're expecting the snow and all that tomorrow. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. How bad is it supposed to be, though? I know you're a little bit further up north, too, so it must be bad if you can't make it to the game, brother. Guess what? You'll be warm. You'll be in front of a television with the best view. Shout out to you. You'll be all right. The energy of the game is one thing, but if it's going to be cold and snowing and being in the stands, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a different type of dedication. Stephen R. says Tater Tyson, Downs, or CB if trade down. Well, we're going to get into this. We're going to get into this. Shout out to my man Joseph in the building. Papa Joe in the building says just win, baby. Just win. Uh-oh. Thank you, Luann. Luann says 67 in the chat. It's 78 now. Only 15 likes. Hit the like button, people. Hit the like button. And we're going to move on. Again, shout out to everybody. If I can't get to all the comments, I'm going to try to get as many as possible. We vibing tonight. Late night Giants talk. You know what it is. You know what it is. All right, so, and then the Knicks won. I see that. OKC Donald Knicks couldn't beat the champion OKC Thunder. If J-Dub, Chet, and Fort didn't play, come on now. Knicks doing anything. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that tonight, especially after they shot the way as good as they shot tonight. Y'all playing right now though, ain't you? Ain't OKC playing right now? That's what's up, man. Shout out to my man Hurst for real. Is it Gerard? Gerard is in the building. Is it Ken the Bear? No, Ken. I'm sorry, Ken the Abuser. What's that about? Say go Big Blue. I said not much 1 to 3 inches. Okay, all right. South Jersey got 1 to 3 inches. Okay, all right. So the snow ain't gonna be that bad. I don't miss the snow, man. I don't miss the snow, man. I remember the night I left New Jersey. It was 12 degrees. It was 12 degrees. It was February 2004. I landed in Las Vegas. It was 78 degrees. I ain't missed the cold weather ever since. It is what it is. It is what it is. So let's talk about Charlie Bullen, right? So Charlie Bullen early this week. Oh, let me get to the super chat. I see the super chat. Shout out to, is it Formula Red with the $9.99 super chat says, I'm actually still shocked Dable tied himself to Bowen when he was clearly the elephant in the room and allowed Bowen to get him fired. He had to know, if I keep this dude, he's gonna. Yeah, man. That's the one thing we were saying. That's the one thing we were saying. Like he was so loyal to this guy. He really didn't even know the guy prior to him getting hired as a DC. Really didn't have a relationship in him. Remember when he was talking to Joe Shane about Shane Bowen, he was pulling up PFF stats and grades from the Titans. So how much of a relationship did you really have? I don't think you really did. But time after time, like even John Mara told you at the end of last season, he's sick and tired of seeing offenses run up and down the field or move the ball up and down the field on the Giants. You had the out last year. And then this year, fourth quarter comeback after fourth quarter comeback, I should say collapse, fourth quarter collapse. You still kept him. You still had confidence in him. But you know what's crazy about that? It's not surprising because remember at the end of the 2023 season with the whole drama with Wink, they asked some questions about Wink. Wink was already at the airport in Florida, and Brian Dable was at the podium talking about, he's still the defensive coordinator. I would like him to be here. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? 2 years later, here it is. He falls on the sword for the defensive coordinator that ultimately gets fired 3 games after that. So it is what it is. Shout out to my man Formula Red with $9.99 super chat. Stephen R says, Kafka said if you yeah. Kafka dropping the F-bombs. He said Kafka said If you about to get the F out, you say if you're not about that life, get the F out. Yeah, that's right. When he was on his rant at the meeting, he said Dex and Burns was like, bro, if you don't shut the F up. See, I'm too much of a class clown. I would have said, are you even going to be here next season? That's harsh. That's harsh. It's funny, but it's harsh. Christopher Tony said the Knicks can't beat my Celtics. I think they can do it this year. Especially when it counts. In the playoffs, you guys might not have Tatum Tatum ain't coming back, right? I'm assuming he's not coming back, right? Shout out to my big brother in the building. Said, what's good, Dash? Love you, little bro. What's going on, big bro? Love you too. We're getting close to Christmas. Shout out to everybody. Send everybody my love too, man. Hug everybody for me. Matt Sports says, didn't we just beat the Celtics in the listen? All right, because we listen. I might have started something when I said shout out to the Knicks early on, but shout out to the Knicks. Good game today. They beat Orlando. Orlando played them tough too. That was an enjoyable game to watch. Nobody was really missing. It was a good, fundamentally coached game. Eddie Can't Stop said, "What it do, Dash? I'm chilling, man. I swear." So Charlie Bullen, right? I got to stay on track. Shout out to the chat. Charlie Bullen earlier this week was asked questions about Abdul Carter in the response to, the quarter suspensions and being held out. And he says he's showing up earlier. He's staying later. He's watching more film. And the way he said it was like, I'm so proud of this. No, that's his job. He should have been doing that from jump the first time he was fined. And now everybody's so happy that Abdul Carter is coming in early, staying later, watching more film. What was he doing this whole time? So it just goes to show me that it is really over for the regime. You can't save anybody on the staff, man. Brian Cox gets fired. You know what I mean? He's having issues on the plane ride home from the game. He gets fired. You got the DC saying that he went to not Brian Cox. He went to he went to Brian Cox man to man and asked him. They said they felt like you wasn't the guy to be calling the plays. That was it. And they might have been right. Depending on what it looks like tomorrow, they might have been absolutely right because your first game as a DC, you looked even worse than Bowen. So we went from Bullen to Bowen, and it's still Bull. That's all I got to say about that. Shout out to my man Miz in the building. He said, "What up, Jazz? 24-13 Giants. Tomorrow, Miz, that's your lock. You got 24-13 for the Giants. And you know what's crazy? Last time I checked, we were favorites too, -2.5. I actually jumped on that pause. That's part of my parlay is the Giants -2.5. I think the Giants really do win this game, and I understand because a lot of people say they want to lose. They want the first overall pick. Understandable. And for the big picture future of the Giants, I think that plays a role to having that first overall pick because of what it means as far as draft capital from a trade back. But also for the guys that are currently on the team, the guys that are currently the foundation pieces for the team, Burns, Dex, Jackson Dart, Andrew Thomas, all of these guys. What's important for them is to get that taste of winning again. So I understand that you want the first overall pick because of the ransom you might get, a king's ransom possibly, depending on how many quarterbacks come out. Because if 2 quarterbacks come out, if it's Mendoza and also Dante Moore, if he comes out too, some of these teams might say, you know what, Giants picking number 1. We know they're not going to take a quarterback. Maybe we just wait to see which guy is left and see if we want to move up to 2. And also the funny thing about that is this. PFF, I do the mock draft simulator all the time. I was getting better deals with the second overall pick than the first overall pick. Now, I know that's just a mock draft simulator. It does not mean a thing. I'm just saying, a little tidbit to throw out there. But Abdul Carter, man, I'm curious to see what coming in earlier, staying later, and watching more film does this week, actually, against the Washington Commanders. I'm curious to see what it actually does. You got the Commanders limping in to MetLife. You got the New York Giants in their legacy uniforms. I love the way the field looks when they wear the legacy uniforms. I love the Giants on the helmet. You see the Giants on the helmet. I think we should have that permanently. Is it going to help Abdul Carter? Is he going to look better? Kayvon Thibodeau's not playing again. You might as well shut Kayvon Thibodeau down. Don't even try to bring him back. For what? For what? Dexter Lawrence is going to give it the college try. I believe tomorrow. We'll see what happens on at game time. But there's certain players you might need to shut down. And it doesn't equal tanking. You can still try and not win. We can go out there tomorrow, try and still not win. But these guys need to go out there and play, though. I know that's for a fact. Especially Jackson Dart. Let me see what some of these comments are saying. JDJ says Carter finally clocked in. That's a fact. Stephen R. says sleeping. Christopher Tony says Carter finally got his head in the game. I hope so. OKC, yeah, that's a fact. I forgot. Yeah, I should have mentioned that. He says nobody comes back but Brasillo. True. I was thinking about the staff, right? The only time I would probably just want to give up Carmen Brasillo is somehow, I don't know who the head coach would be, but if you want to bring in an OC, say you go for a defensive-minded head coach, a guy that's out there, freshly out there, is former head coach of the Tennessee Titans, Callahan. Brian Callahan, whose dad is Bill Callahan, who's one of the best offensive line coaches in like NFL history. That might be the only situation where I say, you know what, okay, maybe we lose Brasillo too. But outside of that, man, the way Brasillo got these guys playing, I don't want to lose Brasillo either. And I think that whoever gets the job is going to take a long look at Brasillo, see what the New York Giants have been, and then see what they are now and say, yeah, I'm going to keep that familiar voice, in the building. Because in some cases, you might want to keep some players. It's a lot of coaches that survived some regimes. Andre Patterson survived the regime. Jerome Henderson, when he was here, survived a couple of regimes. What was the old secondary coach we had? I can't remember his name right now. Black dude. He survived. He was here with Shermer. He made it through Shermer. He made it through Judge. He made it with Brian Dable, and then he ended up losing his job. But it is what it is. Patrick Grove, that's a fact. He said F tanking. It is what it is. What'd you say, Miz? Miz says check out Big Dash, most realist content. Chest out there. I'm assuming that's a typo. Content creator, maybe was what you meant. True fan. Shout out to you guys, man. Shout out to the people that vibe with me. Shout out to the people tuned in right now. Shout out to the 91 people in the building right now, man. We vibing. We having a good time. Late night Giants talk, man. It is what it is. Stephen R. says left tackle for DC, Carl Banks, linebacker coach. Oh, LT for DC. Lawrence Taylor, we ain't doing that. Lawrence Taylor ain't fit the coach. Shout out to Lawrence Taylor. He ain't fit the coach. You imagine trying to organize Lawrence Taylor's day. I would believe that he does not have the most organized day, and having LT out there to do that, I don't know about that. Joseph says 31-17 for the Giants. Tank, please. FaZe says tank, please. And again, and FaZe, correct me if I'm wrong, the only reason why you want to tank is because you want the first overall pick, right? I'm assuming. Right. If the Giants lose out, the only team that can possibly, it's locked up. It's us if we lose out. I understand that. But in any place in the top three, you're probably going to get a haul for the picks because not everybody's taking a quarterback that's picking that high. You'll be able to get some draft capital. I don't want to lose to the Commanders. And I know meaningless games is what people say, right? Meaningless games. Nah. No matter how you, like last year, meaningless games because you already knew your quarterback was gone. A lot of the people on the team was gone. We thought Brian Dable and everybody was getting fired. That's when you I didn't want to tank last year either, but that's when you pretty much throw in the towel. I'm not throwing the towel in with a rookie quarterback that's promising. You don't do that. I'm curious to see how Kafka calls the game too. Second game with Jackson Dart. I wonder if he takes the handcuffs off him. We're one more game removed from the concussion, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. We about to get into that. Miz says, how do I feel about Freeman? I'm about to get into that. So we're going to do this right now. We're going to talk about it right now. Again, shout out to everybody. If I don't get to all your comments, go ahead and spam the chat. I'll get to it for sure. Hold on. Let me see if I caught up on the super chats for sure. Marcus Freeman, head coach, Notre Dame. What are my thoughts on Marcus Freeman? As far as no real experience on the NFL level, or no experience at all coaching at the NFL level, that's one thing, right? We've always seen hot college coaches come into the NFL and then fall on their faces. We see it. We saw who some of these guys were successful. Not all of these guys. Like Pete Carroll was successful, but he already was in the league for a little bit. Who else is out there? There's a couple guys out there. Harbaugh was out there, left, came back, Stanford, then came to the San Francisco 49ers, then Michigan. He had success. So there's some guys that's out there doing it. My issue with Marcus Freeman is what a lot of people are saying, and I saw Fireside Giants talk about it. I saw other content creators talk about it as well when it comes to Marcus Freeman is what kind of connections does he have? What kind of staff can he put together? Marcus Freeman is a leader of young men. I'll say that at the college level. Guys, not everybody in college is married with children, has family, has their own life and stuff like that. It's football, school football, right? So he is a leader of young men. Will that translate to the NFL level is going to be my question. Now, one thing I think plays a part in that is the New York Giants do have one of the youngest rosters in the NFL. So you got younger guys. Maybe they look at Marcus Freeman and they take heed to what he's saying all the time. Or if he just knows what he's doing, if he can command the room, if he is really a leader of young men, he can also translate that to being a leader of men. He played college football at a high level. He was one of the top linebackers at Ohio State when he played. And it's funny too, because I never connected the dots before. I remember the name Marcus Freeman. I never connected the dots to the linebacker that wore number 1 from Ohio State so many years ago. And somebody said that in one of the spaces. I was like, oh, wow, I know where this guy came from. So for me, I'm sitting here like, I like the idea. Him being young does not matter. It's just, what does his team look? What does his coordinators look like? What does his coaching staff look like? That's my main thing with him. If he can somehow get somebody like a Jim Schwartz to coach that defense, fantastic. And the funny thing is, too, like the guy I just mentioned earlier, Brian Callahan. If you can get Brian Callahan to be your offensive coordinator, it's just about getting the right people around him so he can do what he does best. Again, he's a general manager. He's kind of like what the New York Giants are looking for. He's a defensive guy because of his background as a player, but he's not necessarily like a defensive-minded defensive coordinator type of coach. But he has that mindset of being, a defensive guy. But also, again, he dabbled on the offense too as a coach. And then now as the head coach of Notre Dame, he's doing everything. But what you do at the college level, in some parts, is different from what you can do at the NFL level. Different kind of restrictions on practice and stuff like it's different. I like it. If I wouldn't be mad at it at all, I would just have some question marks. Just have some question marks. Stephen R. says Freeman, Mike McDaniel as OC, Jim Schwartz for DC. Fire. Yeah, Mike. I don't think Mike McDaniel's going anywhere now. Since the last time I talked about Mike McDaniel, and it's funny, I think it was since the Buffalo game when he went to that Buffalo bar in Miami and he was trolling the fans out there. I don't think they lost a game since, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're on like a 4-game winning streak. I think. I got to look that up. I don't know if they won last week or maybe they had a bye week last week. But I think Mike McDaniel probably saved his job. The way that the Dolphins are playing, and that they're not actually out of it when it comes to the division. So he might be safe. Mike McDaniel might be off the market for sure. Christopher Tony says Flores, yes, but he beefing with Mara in the front office. He's not beefing with Mara. He's beefing with the Giants. But I think it's more of the whole Joe Schoen. Like, he had a feeling Tim McDonald, John Mara, Brian Flores was the guy. They were pushing for Brian Flores. Joe Schoen talked John Mara out of hiring Brian Flores, and then he introduced Brian Dable. And at the time, we were like, okay, the guy coached Josh. Damn, I can't remember Josh's name. What's Josh's name? I can't remember. The guy from Buffalo. So, but he said, for me, it's like Brian Dable's a good coach. Look what he's doing with Josh over there. Josh Allen, thank you. I was thinking Josh McDaniel. I'm sitting here tripping. I knew it wasn't McDaniel though. Josh Allen, thank you very much. Shout out to y'all. But yeah, look what he did with Josh Allen. He can do the same thing for Daniel Jones, and obviously after 1 year, that was fool's gold. It is what it is with that. But Brian Flores, again, that's a pipe dream for me. I wish it was true. Every time I talk about it, people cuss me out, so I'm gonna leave it alone for now. Talk about Marcus Freeman, but let me know what you guys think about Marcus Freeman. Matt Sports laughing at me. He says, Allen, yeah, Josh Allen. And congratulations to Josh Allen, too. I saw that he put a picture out that he's expecting his first child. So shout out to Josh Allen for that. Freeman has no NFL experience. That's that's the one thing. And it's not even like coaching experience. It's about connections, too, at the end of the day. He doesn't have any, like, coaching connections. How is he going to put this staff together? Greg T says, no to Freeman, final word. Christopher Tony says, what GM would you bring in, Dash? I keep telling you, I have not done the GM research yet. There's a couple people out there that I need to look up. Ray Agnew is one of those guys, assistant GM for the Detroit Lions, but I have not done a deep dive into GMs yet. I think I should do. Instead of thinking about coaches, I should go in and think about GMs. Maybe I'll do that. Josh from Walmart is crazy. Got 90s aura. That's a hell of a name, though. Thank everybody for letting me. Yeah, I was like, yo, I was stuck. Like Josh McDaniel. No, it's not Josh McDaniel. Josh Freeman. No, Josh Allen. Thank you very much. The Bills, man. I don't like the Bills. You mentioned John Ferrari last week too, I think, Greg T. It is what it is. Shout out to everybody. So and we're moving right along, man. Winning and tanking. So by show of hands, actually not even by show of hands. Just a one-word answer. In the chat for the people that are participating. Just put win or tank in the chat. That's it. One word, win or tank. So I can see what the temperature in the room is when it comes to these Giants. Win or tank. Shout out to Joseph with the $2 super chat. Says, I think Spags might get a shot. We got to give up on Spags, man. Spags ain't leaving. I heard a rumor that Andy Reid might be leaving, and if Andy Reid leaves, I think the Spags leaves with him. And if he doesn't leave, he's probably going to be the guy that they might look at for the head coaching job for the Chiefs. So I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of wins. Stephen R. says, anybody from the Ravens front office to be the next GM will do. I thought so too, man. Who was the guy that went to the Texans? He was from the Ravens, and then they was a little bit on the hot seat this year. Then they got it turned around again. So, but anybody that comes from that Ozzie Newsome tree, as far as general managers go, that's cool with me. I can remember Ozzie Newsome, but I can't remember Josh Allen. That's crazy. It is what it is. Too many Joshes in the brain. Hirsch for real says tank. Is it ZZ Crutchy? Says win. Joseph says win. PM says win. Michael says win 6-11 for the season. So you got us winning out. That dark friend win. Ed Lid win. Greg T, you play to win the game. Hello. You play to win the game. Crowd favorite says win. Shout out to my big brother says win. Gangstar Tank. James the Giant says W. Christopher Tony says, I'm sorry, someone might not like it, but McCarthy, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's been 3 weeks now, and I've been arguing with people about Mike McCarthy. And you heard what I went down the rabbit hole last week talking about Mike McCarthy and why I don't want him. I understand the resume. I understand what he brings to the table. I understand he might straighten out the shit. I understand that he might be the Tom Thibodeau. What Tom Thibodeau was to the Knicks, Mike McCarthy could be for the Giants. I understand all of that, but he's also a rental. I don't want a rental. I want a guy that's going to be here for the long haul. And I understand that for me. And then you did make a point, though. Safe bet. Is absolutely safe. Mike McCarthy is so safe. You saw him be safe on the Dallas Cowboys. What did it get him? Even with those 3 straight 12-win seasons, what did it got him out the door? Because he couldn't get over the hump with that Dallas roster and Dan Quinn as his DC and Schottenheimer as his OC. He couldn't get that staff over the hump. What makes you think he can get this team over the hump with less talent on the roster? I don't want to be disrespectful when it comes to Mike McCarthy, but you had one of the best quarterbacks in history for over a decade. In a weak NFC North, you got one Super Bowl out the deal. And Super Bowls are hard to come by. Absolutely, I understand that. But he should have been playing in more Super Bowls. It's way too many one and dones. Way too many one and dones. And again, the New York Giants ran through those Packers 2 times under his watch. It is what it is. Keon says win. Arlon says win. F the Commandos. Christopher Tony says win, 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 win. Everything else, win, win, win. Stephen R says Dash won the division games, left. Won the division games, left, lose to the others. Okay. Ed Liz says we need a couple wins. F the draft pick. We don't need a QB anymore. F them picks. Is what you're saying, right, Ed? F them picks. Gangstar says Al and Mara will clean house. Mara's already cleaning house. There's no choice. There's no choice, man. Just think about, like, if I'm John Mara, and we don't even know, again, dealing with what he's dealing with, if he's going to be the guy making decisions at the end of the season, it might be Chris Mara. It might be Tim McDonald. But when they have their end of the season reviews, what can Joe Shane tell you? If you were a owner, part of that team, what could Joe Shane walk in that office and tell you that will make you say, yeah, you know what? We're going to give you another try, Joe. You know what, Joe? I understand. And we went from 9 wins to 6 wins to 3 wins, looking like we might have only 2 wins. You know, even though you know that's what we're getting. That's what the results are. Maybe we give you another. I don't know, man. I don't think there's anything Joe Shane can tell anybody. I don't think there's anything that Joe Shane can say, especially if it's anything like that bye-week pressure that he had. He's gone. You seen the Green Mile? Dead man walking. That's how Joe Shane looked at the bye-week presser. Dead man walking. If he survives this, he's Houdini. He's Machiavelli. He's all these other people. Escaping death. He's David Blaine. Chris Angel. He got all the magic. I don't know. Dead man walking. Zombie. Hirsch for real says win means everything. Hold on. Win means everything good. I think so. I think the wins are important. Shout out to my man Bill Whaley in the building. What's going on, Bill? He says win, want to see the team fight till the end. That's a fact. That's a fact. Al Davis style, just win, baby. That's a fact. Winning these games are meaningless for this season. Correct. These wins mean nothing for the 2025 season, but for the players in this season going on to 2026, winning some games at the end of this horrible season would mean something for them, especially if they win the last 4. Now, we win the last 4. We went out. We talking about picking like 11th, 12th, 13th possibly if we get 6 wins, because there's so many teams with 3 wins, 4 wins and stuff like that. So we just got to be prepared for that, but I'm prepared for that. F them picks. I do want a 3rd round. If you want to pick, if you really want to pick, you might have to trade somebody for it. And that's even if we do end up still with a top 3 pick. You still might have to trade somebody for more picks. I put out a video earlier today talking about Joe Shane, talking about the roster, a little bit of an outlook into the future for 2026. And when you look at the holes on the roster still, the contracts, the people that we possibly need to extend or re-sign, like it's an ugly situation for the New York Giants. almost nothing is off the table when you really think about it. And depending on who the new GM is, if we do get a new GM, but definitely for the head coach, they might want to do things differently. And guess what? We're fans at the end of the day. We get to sit back and just watch this thing go down. We might not like it. We might cheer for it. We might boo it. But we really can't. We really don't have any control. We really don't have any control. So we gotta hang on for that ride. Shout out to Joseph with the $5 super chat. Says John Harbaugh signed a 3-year extension in 2025. I wish he didn't. I like him as a coach. If he was let go by the Ravens, you might not like this, Joe. I'm not. For me, when it comes to Harbaugh, one thing about the Ravens, there's a confidence that you have with the Ravens. Well-run organization, always been competitive. You got the Ozzie Newsomes, like we talked about earlier. John Harbaugh is a Super Bowl winning head coach. Again, Flacco was damn near MVP that season that they won the playoffs. In the runnings, pretty much. But Joe Flacco was nice back then, right? We're talking, 2015? Was that 2015? Something like that, right? And here we are 10 years later. I think that John Harbaugh is surviving off of Lamar Jackson. We saw Lamar Jackson be injured and miss out on games, and the Ravens looked horrible. Horrible. And then he came back and they looked competitive again, to the point where they were battling back and forth with the Steelers week to week on who was the leader of the division. Now the Steelers at the top. So I don't know about John Harbaugh, Joe. I don't know. He does have the pedigree of being a winner in a tough division for sure. But how much of that is the roster? How much of that is Lamar Jackson? Before that, those Raven defenses with the Suggs and the Ray Lewises and all that. How much of that was that, and how much was John Harbaugh? I don't know. But he's definitely, if he gets fired, he'll definitely get an interview. I think I would suppose so. Shout out to Ford Expedition with the $5 super chat. Says Joe Shane is done. Let's win, Giants Nation. Quick and easy, right? Quick and easy. Greg T says might be Kate Mara making the decisions. Might be. It might be. Is it Erlon? Erlon says those DeVito wins didn't matter much, but Dart getting us some wins might be great for the culture. I agree. He says just can't see us throwing wins in the trash in the last 5. Yeah. Again, that's my biggest deal when it comes to that. Again, the wins might be meaningless for the 2025 season, but for these guys, just think about the players, right? Obviously, we're on the outside looking in, right? But think about these players. They have nothing to hold on to right now but a bunch of injuries and a bunch of fourth quarter collapses. That's what they're holding on for this season, right? Bad play. Coaches are getting fired. It's just a black cloud hanging over the Giants. Owners dealing with some things, right? Health issues and stuff like that. Think about the players, right? And what it would mean to actually run off some wins. And what kind of momentum that does for the building. Down to the janitors, the custodians. Having some wins. Imagine what that does for these guys that are going to be returning in 2026. It is what it is. JDJ says, I don't know what Joe will say, but I do know he'll start with A. I understand the question. I understand the question. He made me sick, man. He didn't answer the question. He understood the questions, but wouldn't answer them. Except for nobody's perfect. And I won't make the mistake again. Yeah. It's 4 seasons in, man. 4 seasons in. Can't make the same mistake again. What happened then? What happened? You actually got worse. You were better when you first got here, and then you got worse. And then depending on what happens with some of these guys, especially in this draft, and the 2024 draft, because you had Newman that fell off a little bit. You got Andrew Phillips that fell off a little bit. You got Adebo, who is hurt. You got Holland. He's going to make $18 million next year. Got 90 Doris says, buddy can remember Machiavelli, and he spelled it correctly. That's the right way to spell it. But not Josh. Yo, I was stuck. And it's crazy, too, because I couldn't get off of Josh McDaniel. I couldn't get off of Josh McDaniel at all. And I'm sitting here like, wow, I'm really stuck. At least I admitted it, though. Some people are just trying to move on. No, I admitted it. I couldn't remember his last name. I remember that he's expecting a child. I remember that. Couldn't his name. I was stuck. Yep. Shout out to Ian Campbell in the building. Patrick Grove says collect draft picks. You can still do that. You can absolutely still do that. The funny thing about this, though, if the Giants do lose out and we do have the number 1 pick, imagine, like, what if they don't like the quarterback? What if the people are really not worried about whether or not it's Mendoza or more from Oregon? What if they're not worried about that? And then we're sitting there. What if we're stuck? What if the Giants get stuck at pick 1? We take Caleb Downs. Is that what we do? Number 1 overall. We take Arvell Reese. Number 1 overall. What we talking about? Imagine that. Yeah, we'll call the Giants bluff. We'll call his bluff. Greg T says, leave Bain in Miami if it's going to cost us a top 3 pick. You like Bain or you don't like Bain? I like Bain. I like Ruben Bain a lot. He gives me Justin Tuck type vibes. He has that same build. Similar build. Shout out to Papa Joe with the $5 super chat. Says, I just do not want to be last in the NFC East or the worst team in the NFL when up. Even if we did have the number 1 pick, we are still not worse than the Tennessee Titans. That might be a moral victory, but I believe that's still believable because even in the power rankings, they had us between 29 and 30. That's what I saw in the power rankings. So they still had 2 teams worse than us. So even if we did end up with the number 1 overall pick, I believe that people still believe that the Titans are worse. Titans are worse. Saints possibly are worse. It is what it is. It is, but we are what the record says we are at the end of the day. Greg T says, yeah, Josh is having a kid with the center. Yeah, he is. He is. Ian Campbell says Downs are the highest bidder. Caleb Downs is special. Caleb Downs really is special. Again, I told you guys before, I was in denial because people kept saying, well, he's Ed Reed. And for me, if you tell me somebody's Ed Reed, I'm looking at you like you're crazy. Because Ed Reed was probably one of the best safety, in my opinion, modern day best safety ever. Ed Reed. Ed Reed was special. And if you want to say somebody in college is Ed Reed, Hall of Fame, Ed Reed, I'm just looking at you like, but he's damn good. Caleb Downs is damn good. And he's everywhere. Like Ed Reed. Polamalu was a good safety too. Polamalu was nice too. He was a do-it-all safety too. I just like Ed Reed a little bit more. Just like Ed Reed a little bit more. A little bit more dynamic Ed Reed. Ed Reed to take that pick 6 100 yards. 100 yards. Greg T says Downs ain't no damn Ed Reed. Don Devine says Sean Taylor was up there. Sean Taylor was nice. Damn shame what happened to Sean Taylor. But nah, Sean Taylor was nice. He probably would have been one of the best safeties. That's one of my favorites right there, Stephen Arts. Antrell Roll, love Antrell Roll. It's funny. He got a similar build as Antrell Roll, but I believe he's already better than Antrell Roll. Remember, they tried to, when Antrell Roll first got to the Cardinals, he was a cornerback. Left Miami, he was a cornerback. They finally moved him to safety. Well, we got him as a safety. Won a Super Bowl with him. But shout out to Antrell Rowe. Christopher Tony says, just don't hire no past Giant position coaches for head coach. Out there, there's nobody out there that'll be a head coach. Another dark horse that people are talking about is Davis Webb. And he might be one of those guys similar to Aubrey Pleasant, where this might not be the cycle for them because he is the quarterback's coach for the Broncos. But you probably will see him get a chance maybe in 27, 28 and stuff like that. So, but Davis Webb is another sleeper. Patrick Grove says Ed Reed was also a coach on the field. All safeties are like that. All good safeties, I should say. All good safeties are coaches on the field. All the good ones. All the good ones are. All the great ones, I should say, are. They know where everybody needs to be. They're getting people lined up. Yes, the middle linebacker might get to receive the calls, but the safety is a safety for a reason. His name is safety for a reason. You mentioned Bruce Arians. What you talking about, Bruce Arians? Bob Sanders was nice, too. Shout out to Got 90s Aura. Bob Sanders was little, too. He was little. But a knock your cleats off, Bob Sanders. Stephen R. says, Giants hire Petula. I quit expeditiously. There's a couple of coaches that I don't want it. Like Mike McCarthy, again, I understand why some people do want Mike McCarthy, but I don't want Mike McCarthy. I don't want Lou Anarumo either, because I think Lou Anarumo is probably the safest for Joe Schoen. He's probably like, yeah, sure, you can stay Joe Schoen. I just want to coach the Giants. So I don't know about Lou Anarumo, even though I like what he's doing with the Colts as far as that defense. I don't know. Jeff Hafley is the other one. He earlier in the week it was Jeff Hafley everybody was talking about it before it became the Marcus Freeman show. Then it was the Shulers, and after Mike Kafka's first couple games, Mike Kafka might have a shot. We done went through the gauntlet with all of these names. Oh, Adrian Wilson, yep. Greg T says Bob Sanders was a Tasmanian devil, but he was indeed the X factor in Indy finally getting over the Brady hump and winning a chip. Now that's a fact. Bob Sanders was number 22, I believe, right? Number 20. But just short, stocky, do it all safety with the dreads, for sure. That dark friend says, I don't care about being the pass head coach. Just find the guy who fits and can bring in good coaches. That's my main thing is 21. Thank you. It wasn't 20. It was 21, huh? Okay. So you better than me, Greg T. So, hold on. He says, don't pan over my pause. Acknowledge your wrongdoing. What pause did I miss? Hold on. Now I got to go back and try to find it. Where's the pause? Bob Sanders was nice. I got you. Pause. Can't get off Josh. Pause on that, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Catch me when I'm flagrant. This flagrant foul there. What was that? I was talking about the coaches. Yeah, man, it's about getting the right guy at the end of the day. Because I've heard so many people just talk about, it got to be no more one-time, first-time head coaches. They got to have head coaching experience. No, they don't. Just think like the entire league, successful coaches, it's a mix. But a lot of these guys are first-time head coaches. They've just been there so long that you forget that they were a first-time head coach still with the team. When I say Shanahan, even Mike Tomlin been there almost 20 years. He was a first-time head coach when he got there. Sean McVay, first-time head coach when he got there. Sean McDermott, first-time head coach when he got there. It's not the whole we need this guy to have experience type deal. You just need to pick the right guy at the end of the day. I don't know who the right guy is. We won't know till it actually happens. The Giants don't know who the right guy is. It's going to be a crapshoot for sure. It's just about what do you feel more comfortable with. To some people's point, they might just be the safe. I don't want safe. I want right. Because if the New York Giants feel that way, we'll just go with Mike McCarthy. He's the safest. And then he ends up being bad. What does that mean? safe doesn't mean a damn thing. Bruce Arians is a sleeper. I don't think Bruce Arians wants to come back to coaching. I don't know. He was having health issues too. He had to step down because of health issues. That's how Todd Bowles ended up getting the job. Because Bruce Arians had to step down. It's a lot of stress when it comes to being a head coach. And if you ain't living right, it's not a good deal. It's not a good, but Bruce Arians, I don't know. I'm surprised nobody mentioned John Gruden yet. Because that's been another name everybody wants to run to, John Gruden. We got to stop chasing these old coaches, man. I understand why you want to go after it. Because again, that word safe. Safe. You can't play it safe with this pick, man. You gotta find the right guy. And again, no matter what, I don't care what you tell me. Mike McCarthy could come here and he can have 2 straight 11-win seasons. But he still feel like a rental, in my opinion, because there's an expiration date. You just know it. I'd rather journey into the unknown and find one of these young up and coming head coaches and let that guy be the guy for the next decade. That's what I'm looking for. Ian Campbell says, please don't mention Gruden. I'm over that guy. I'm just saying, I was surprised. Like he was in heavy rotation the last couple. Like Gruden was heavy in rotation. Stephen R says, first time head coach trying to get 2 good coordinators is harder than just finding one. It's the same thing for the head coaches, the retreads. Normally they gotta find some coordinators. They gotta find somebody that says, okay, yeah, I'll take this ride with you. It's the same thing. But the funny thing about these head coaches is this, though. We said, what up, Dash? What about Jason? What about Jason Garrett as what, though? He was a first-time head coach, too. He was successful with the Dallas Cowboys, too. Till it ran dry. But it was what was he, the coach for 8 years before it happened? I mean, before he got out of there. I mean, listen, you win some, you lose some. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. But still, I won't let that deter me from finding my next Mike Tomlin or John Gruden or Shanahan or McVay. Just because the Giants have striked out a lot of times doesn't mean you stop swinging. Mike McCarthy is the equivalent. I can't even talk today. Equivalent. Mike McCarthy equals a bunt. Put it that way. You're not swinging for the fences. It's not a home run. You want to play it safe. Mike McCarthy is a bunt. That's what it is for me. He's a bunt. I don't want to bunt. I'd rather strike out than bunt. Lewis says we need youth to match Dart's aura. Yeah, equivalent. Yeah, I can't talk today. I can't say that word, man. I tried. Guess what, though? I was going to use it correctly. Some people can't even use words correctly. Now, it's a bunt where you don't even make it to first base. Not even a bunt single. You're not even making it. You trying to get somebody to the next plate. It's not even that. Possibly. That's what it is to me. Playing it safe. I don't want to play it safe. I want a home run. A bunt is crazy. That's it's a bunt. Patrick Grove says Freeman is a CEO. I think, like, again, there's a lot of pros to Freeman. There's a lot of pros to Freeman. I like him being the CEO. I like him being able to focus on the entire team. When I think about the recent coaches that we've had, Brian Dable didn't know how to be a CEO. He was dipping heavily into the offense. And then when he took over play calling last year, the defense would be on the field and he wouldn't even be a part of it. Even this year, we saw when Dart went into the 10, he didn't even know how to act. And the offense was on the field. And then you look at Joe Judge. He had the special teams background. He was too busy trying to be Bill Belichick without being Bill Belichick, and we saw what happened with him. Pat Shermer ended up being just a dummy. Ben McAdoo, You know what's funny about Ben McAdoo? Ben McAdoo was actually right. What am I talking about? Ben McAdoo was right. We heard the stories. Ben McAdoo came in here, took over for Tom Coughlin. Jerry Reese went and spent a ton of money on the defense. We made it to the playoffs with 11-5 season. Boat trip happened. We lose to the Green Bay Packers. It is what it is. Next year, he loses the locker room, but he was right. He wanted to move on. Everybody else didn't want to move on. The guy that he wanted to move on to ends up being Patrick Mahomes. Now, that's not to say that if Patrick Mahomes comes to the Giants, he's the same Patrick Mahomes that we saw with Andy Reid. It's not possible, right? I mean, it's not, maybe that's not possible. I'm just saying, McAdoo was right. Fighter's Destiny says Geno greater than Eli. Who said that? Cut it out. That year, I thought Eli was cooked. Isaac Moore says, I hear Sharon Moore is available. Let's leave that man alone. Let's leave that man alone. Joe Ferris with the $4.99 super chat says Freeman is a $50 million buyout. Giants had the cheapest coaches for 10 years in a row. He said, what the F gives you the Shane confidence past that crack pipe, brother? I don't have any confidence in Shane. So I'm not sure which guy you're talking to. But I have no confidence. I wanted Shane gone last year. I gave him the old college try again because we were stuck with him. And I didn't want to complain for 7 months. But ended up being right here. But Joe, let me know, man, with the Freeman buyout, does that include the NFL? Like I know for college, you got that $5 million buyout. But does that also include the NFL, the next level? I'm curious. Greg T says Steve Spurrier left Florida for the Redskins. Yeah. Head ball coach, right? That's the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. Wasn't good. It wasn't good. At all. But also, Harbaugh. For every Spurrier, you might have a Harbaugh. For every Urban Meyer, you might have a Pete Carroll. It's about getting the right guy. You know, Steve Spurrier was the ultimate, or one of the ultimate college coaches, head ball coach. He went from Florida, then he went to South Carolina when he went back, right? After the Redskins, I think he went to South Carolina. Gamecocks, right? But yeah, that's like you can always find examples. You can always find examples for college coaches coming up. Remember when we thought Matt Rule was going to be the guy? Remember Matt Rule? Where did he end up going? He went to the Panthers, and he was horrible there. Like, there's always going to be stories. Football been around for 200 years. There's always going to be stories. There's always going to be failures. You're always going to be able to point or find something that you can use towards your argument. And there you can always find something that goes against your argument as well. But Steve Spurrier, you had to dig deep in the trenches for that one. But you found gold. Steve Spurrier was that's a good answer. Christopher Tony says Bowles may be out in Tampa Bay if the Bucs don't win out. I think the Bucs dealt with a lot of injuries. Baker's not Baker with the shoulder issue. Mike Evans just came back and looked like he's hurt again. The injury bug just got the Bucs. That's what I think, man. The injury bug got the Bucs. I do think Todd Bowles is a good coach. I think if they move on from him this season, I think they're calling it quits too early. Now, Raheem Morris at Atlanta, yeah. There goes another retread for people. Raheem Morris. He was the coach of Tampa Bay, head coach. Didn't work out. Went through the gambit again. Got another chance with the Falcons, and he ain't looking right either. He's not looking right. Was Todd Bowles on different strokes? I think that was his brother. Yeah. Willis. I think Willis was his brother. Different Todd. Raheem the Dream. Shout out to Irvington, New Jersey. That's where Raheem Morris is from. Shout out to Jersey. Shout out to Raheem Morris. Fantastic defensive coordinator. Horrible head coach. Respectfully. I'll tell you this. If he becomes a free agent, I wouldn't mind him coaching the defense, to be honest, because he can coach a defense. He's a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator. He can coach a defense. It's when he tried to step out to be the main guy. Yeah, it's not quite right. Also, he has issues picking his staff too, in my opinion. I could be proven wrong though. Greg T says Pete Carroll is the exception to the rule, and I think Saban could have that same sort of success if he tries his hand at the end. Saban tried. He was with the Dolphins and was trash. And Saban coached. He was on Bill Belichick's staff when Bill Belichick was the head coach for the Browns before they ended up being the Baltimore Ravens. See, my memory works now. I couldn't remember Josh Allen. I can remember Bill Belichick and Saban being on the staff for the Browns. Whatever. It is what it is. I'm past that. Maybe I'm not past that, but I am. Yeah, but there's Pete Carroll's an exception. Harbaugh. What about Harbaugh? You know what I mean? What about Tom Coughlin? He was a head coach at Boston College. Well, there's always going to be examples. There's always going to be an exception. Some people get their start in college. It just is what it is. Like I said, you can go down in history and you can find where this guy, defends my point and this guy does not. Harms my point. I'm just saying, for me, you got to keep swinging. Don't be afraid to take the swings. Because at some point in time, you're going to get to well, hopefully. I don't know how long it might take, but hopefully we get to it. What you mean, Joe Ferris getting blown out and laughing? Bobby Petrino. Another good college coach, man, came to the NFL and failed. Where did Bobby Petrino go when he was in the NFL? I know Bobby Petrino was a coach at Arkansas, he was a coach at Louisville. But what NFL team did Bobby Petrino coach? I can't remember. Yeah, Bill Belichick, first time head coach, failed. That's a fact. Is it Glenn? Glenn Brown says, Dash, let's look at Bill. How many times did he fail before the Pats? Correct. Bill should have been the coach for the Giants. So when Parcells left and they made Ray the coach, it should have been Bill. Who knows if it would have worked? I think it would have possibly, right? History is a jealous mistress. That's hilarious. Hotlanta. That's what Petrino was in Atlanta? What year was that? He didn't have Vic, right? Was Petrino there with Vic? I think Mora was at Atlanta. Mora was at Atlanta with Vic, if I'm not mistaken, early 2000s. I think it was Jim Mora. Because Jim Mora went to Connecticut, and then Jim Mora just got a job. I can't remember where he went, though. Jim Mora's trying to make a comeback, too. But Atlanta, Bobby Petrino was at Atlanta, huh? Shout out to Queens in the building. The Q Borough diplomat is in the building. Shout out to Queens. Lewis says, let's build a Michigan coach. Nah, he can stay there. He can stay there respectfully. He can stay there. I can't respect nothing of that. That's crazy. I don't even want to talk about it. That's crazy. Stephen R says Shanahan tree or Reed tree or McVay tree. I'm taking McVay tree right now. And then I'm taking the Shanahan tree. And then Andy Reid's tree is not that good, if you think about it. Matt Nagy failed. That's Andy Reid's tree. Who else is Andy Reid tree? Is Todd Haley? No, Todd Haley was a coach, a coordinator for the Steelers, and went to the Cardinals and failed. I thought Haley was at the Chiefs for a little bit. Petrino was in Atlanta in 2007. When did Vic go to jail? Because Vic went to jail, and then all of a sudden Matt Ryan was a quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. So the Rick Petrino, was he the one that got Matt Ryan early on? Was that Petrino? CB Manuel in the building says, "What up, Big Dad?" Shout out to Jersey. Jersey in the building for sure. Shout out to my home. He was in there in 2007, huh? Petrino. Yes, I concur. Yeah, the McVay tree is where it's at right now. The McVay tree is where it's at. He is grooming head coaches there, not just coordinators, head coaches, man. Like he's a bona fide genius. McVay, Sean McVay is a bona fide genius. He's like the Rain Man, but way cooler. He's like the Rain Man without being on a spectrum type deal. He actually might be on the spectrum a little bit, like in a positive way. His intelligence level of intelligence is that high. Photographic memory, can recall everything. You say, oh, the first quarter of the Super Bowl, third down, it was 3rd and 10, and the second, he will recall the play, and then the play after that, and then the play after that. That's how smart McVay is, and he found a bunch of like mini McVays. So he's like, not only is he a good evaluator of talent for players, the way he evaluates coaches or his staff is crazy. He said McVay and Dart is crazy. I think McVay wanted Dart. Remember last year in the draft, right? As soon as we traded up and got in front of the Rams and drafted Dart, what did the Rams do? They traded out. I think they were looking at Dart. I think they said, you know what? Matt Stafford is old. The writing is on the wall, even though Matt Stafford is still playing at a high level. The writing's on the wall. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Let's get somebody in the building behind Matt Stafford. Now, where I think they dropped the ball is after they struck out trying to get Jackson Dart, they should have been the team that went out there and got Shedeur Sanders. Because if you put Shedeur Sanders behind Matt Stafford and the coaching ability of Sean McVay, but no, the Cleveland Browns played their game, ended up getting Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and now everything that everybody's been saying about Shedeur Sanders, all of a sudden, it looks like a lot of people were right after being crucified for their opinions. But it is what it is. Patrick Grove says Sean McVay is today's Bill Walsh. I like it. Rest in peace, Bill Walsh, too. I believe he passed this week. So not Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh passed a while ago. Who was the coach for the Buffalo Bills that just passed? Marv Levy. Respectable. Bill Walsh passed, but Marv Levy just passed. So rest in peace, Marv Levy. Joe Ferris says McVay is sick, a total extrovert and genius. Yo, it's crazy. It's crazy. Brilliant football mind is McVay. Brilliant when it comes to football and just knowing every aspect of it. And then having the foresight to move people into position, and then also to have the foresight to have certain people on his staff do certain duties during the preseason. I talked about it again. I did a lot of research on Aubrey Pleasant, who's the assistant head coach for the Rams. Like in the preseason, he had Aubrey Pleasant for 2 straight seasons now be the head coaches in games in the preseason, down to the referee meetings, to the point where Sean McVay wasn't even on the sideline. He was up there in the booth with like the owners, while he let Aubrey Pleasant handle every aspect of being a head coach. And again, it's the preseason. But again, you're talking about a guy who's been so good at identifying talent, pointing to Aubrey Pleasant, not Mike Shula, you know what I mean? Not any of these other guys that have been coordinators that left and been head coaches. He said, Aubrey, you're the guy that I'm going to pick and pour all this information into. Pause. And to me, that's why I look at Aubrey Pleasant the way that I look at him. Like, I see it, but also I'm seeing what Sean McVay is doing, and that guy's going to be a head coach at some point in time. And like I said, another guy who's coming up right now is Davis Webb. So Davis Webb, Aubrey Pleasant, look out for those guys to get some interviews this head coaching cycle. but they definitely probably get a great chance of being a head coach in 2027. Stephen R says, so Chris Shula is the guy then. He's under the tree. That defense is playing well. He was handpicked. He come from a coaching pedigree. You know, check mark, check mark, check mark. It all depends on if he gets the interview, which I think he will, what kind of plan he comes into the interview with. Because we already know the main thing they're going to ask him is, where do you see the New York Giants? What's your plan for the New York Giants? You know, and he's going to have to paint a picture of what he sees the New York Giants being. Joe Ferris says Shula feels like Joe Judge sold to the high heavens to us by their coach. But again, we're talking about Bill Belichick versus Sean McVay. Bill Belichick had a bunch of yes men, and we see his coaching tree, right? His coaching tree. You have some guys that were successful, especially when it comes to college, but not as successful as head coaches in the league. Brian Flores, closest thing to it. Brian Flores is a Belichick disciple. I think that he might have been the best out of all of them. Well, I don't like Josh McDaniel. Mike Vrabel's really not a Belichick disciple. He just played for him, but never coached under him. So I mean, it is what it is. Shout out to Papa Joe says McVay's grandfather John coached the Giants 1960 to 78. That's a fact. Yeah. And then once the NFL stepped in, and pretty much hired the GM, he actually fired McVay. So I believe McVay coached. I think he coached 2 seasons. I think it was 77, 78, and I think he got fired in 79. But he was already on the staff too, so it is what it is. What about pre-injury Seahorn? Who's pre-injury Seahorn? Louis Cedino says Super Paul's Bedard would unlock a different part of McVay's brain. I don't think you need a pause for that. I think that one's safe. Fired after 78 season. Cool. Yeah. Q Burrow, the diplomat, says, I think it's safe to say Tom made Bill great. Nobody schemed or prepared like Bill, but without Tom getting everyone to buy in, it wouldn't have worked. I hate to do that, right? I hate to do that. I'll say this. Remember when Tom Brady went down? Might have been 2008, 2009, I think. Might have been. And Matt Castle took over. And they still went to the playoffs. And to the point where Matt Castle got paid by the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm like, we get Tom Brady is the GOAT. Bill Belichick is the GOAT of coaches. I think it was a perfect marriage, perfect harmony, and they won a bunch of Super Bowls, had a ton of success. I will say this, though. When Tom left, he won that Super Bowl without Belichick very quickly. And then we saw the collapse of the New England Patriots, but also Bill Belichick was old at the time. Tom Brady was old, too, as a player. But I think when they were together, they needed each other. I don't want to take away from Bill Belichick saying that it was Tom. I understand what you're saying, though, because, again, as soon as Tom left, we saw him collapse and win the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Luann says, I love Jeff Fisher. That's another name, man. Jeff Fisher, former Titans and Rams coach. Yeah, Jeff Fisher, that's McCarthy to me. McCarthy without the Super Bowl is Jeff Fisher. Right? McCarthy's Jeff Fisher, just without the Super Bowl. You know, you'll be competitive. You'll be prepared to play. You'll win some games, but you just ain't getting over the hump. Danny X697. Oh, this is Danny. What's going on, Danny? How you doing? I almost read out the whole name and everything. Shout out to my man Danny in the building. He says, listen, these last 4 games, I just want to beat Washington and beat Dallas. The game with the Vikings and Raiders, I can give 2 about. He said, I just want to end the season with at least 3rd in the division. I do want to beat the Dallas Cowboys, and I do want to beat the Washington Commanders. I absolutely want to do that. And again, we've only seen Jackson Dart, as far as rivalry games, play against the Eagles. We haven't seen him play against Dallas or the Commanders yet. I want to win. I want to win. Joe Ferris says McCarthy is Hank Hill. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Joseph Wilcox says NFL stepped in and the Giants hired George Young. That's a fact. George Young is the one that fired McVay. He says, who was the GM from 1979 to 97, won 3 Super Bowls. Hold on. George Young didn't win 3 Super Bowls. He won 2 Super Bowls. Yeah, he won 2 unless he left. No, when George Young retired after he left the Giants, I'm not tripping. He went to won 2 Super Bowls. Was George Young still the GM when we went in 2000? Or was Ernie Accorsi already there? George Young hired Jim Fossil, if I'm not mistaken. When did Ernie Accorsi take over? Hold on a minute. Ernie Accorsi took over in 19. I was working on some GM stuff. I got the notes here. Ernie Accorsi took over in 98. So George Young hired Jim Fossil. Ernie Accorsi took over. And then Ernie Accorsi was the GM when Jim Fossil was here, and then Ernie Accorsi hired Tom Coughlin. And then we went to Jerry Reese. Okay. Had the handy dandy notebook always, man. Joseph Wilson said the Wikipedia says 3. First of all, is V 4 or 5? I don't know Roman numerals like that. So wherever he was at for that Super Bowl, it wasn't with the New York Giants. That's for sure. Now, yeah, that first one, I think that's a single-digit Super Bowl. So wherever he was at, he wasn't with the Giants then, and that's when he was still fat. Remember fat young and then skinny young? Yeah, they're wrong. But no, he might have won 3 Super Bowls, but only 2 of those were with the Giants. Said Joe Ferris says some content creators has to do the Jim Fossil cosplay. Pushing all the chips in the middle of the table. I think they. Okay. You got jokes, Joe. I thought Russ was gonna cook. I see what you did there, Joe. I got lined up. You lined me up. Fell for the booby trap, Joe. It is what it is. It be your own people, man. It be your own people set you up. Oh, man. Again, shout out to the 119 people in the building. I don't know how many likes are there, but hopefully you guys are hitting that like button again. It'll let the algorithm know that we in the building, and the algorithm let other Giants fans know that we in the building. Family reunion. No problem, Joe. I'm just saying. He won 3 Super Bowls. He just won 2 with the Giants. 2 with the Giants. There you go. Patrick Grove says George Young was the defensive coach and assistant with the Baltimore Colts when they beat Dallas in Super Bowl 5. See, at least I got the Roman numeral right. V is 5. Okay. And the only reason why I remember that is because Rocky 4 and the I comes before the V in Rocky 4. So I knew that's how Roman numerals work. So that's how I knew it was 5. Shout out to Rocky. Teaching kids everything. Joseph Wilcox says Cam Newton is a crybaby. What we talking about? Oh, he's about the Philip. I'm not mad at Cam Newton being mad. Cam Newton, and let's be honest. We'll see tomorrow. We will see tomorrow how bad Phillip Rivers looks tomorrow. You're probably going to say, you know what? Cam might have been better, but Cam is so far out there when it comes to the media. It would have been a little bit of a circus. He's already moved on to bigger and better things. So, it is what it is. I can see why people looked over him. But it's like, for me, it's like, why do you have backup quarterbacks if you can't even go to them? That's what I'm talking about. What, like, they got to be somebody on some practice squad that you could have poached. Somebody somewhere. Q Burrow says, Philip going, it's going to be ugly. I saw the clips of him in practice. It's all fun and games when you got that red jersey on. He ain't been hit in years. He ain't ran around in years. You can tell by the shape of his body that he's been retired. It's going to be sad. They might be better off going to the Wildcat with Jonathan Taylor. It's crazy, man. And it's unfortunate because, again, I do not dislike Daniel Jones. I didn't like him for the Giants. And I actually was a supporter of Daniel Jones, and then I wasn't a supporter, and then I was a supporter again, and then I wasn't a supporter for Daniel Jones. But I never hated Daniel Jones. I just hated him for the Giants. So when he got to the Colts and he was playing well, I was like, that's cool. What I didn't like is all of the Giants fans saying, see, you see, he wasn't the problem. No, he was a part of the problem. He was absolutely a part of the problem. He just wasn't all of the problem. But yeah. You see, Q Burr says, seeing DJ balling hurts my. Listen, yeah, I wasn't mad at it though. It was the AFC. What I didn't. How do I say this without? When we lost Saquon Barkley to the Philadelphia Eagles and they went and won the Super Bowl, I felt a certain way about it. Seeing Daniel Jones start the way that he started, seeing the AFC starting to crumble the way that it's crumbling right now, all the top teams aren't the top teams anymore, and you're looking at the Colts, and you're like, are the Colts going to make it to the Super Bowl with Daniel Jones? Because you know damn well, if Daniel Jones would have took the Colts to the Super Bowl, he didn't even have to win it, but if he went to, could you imagine just some of the storylines that media would have had for the New York Giants? A guy that a majority of people thought was trash went to another team with better coaching, better staff, better running back, better offensive line, better wide receiver. Outside of Malik Neighbors, of course. In the AFC, goes to the Super Bowl. You imagine what they would have had, the type of stories they would have had. I'm not happy. I'm not happy that something happened to Daniel Jones. I'm just saying, we dodged the bullet. We dodged the bullet. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. Shout out Joseph Wilcox, $2 super chat says, why didn't they try to get Wilson or Winston at he was still healthy at the trade deadline. He was still healthy at the trade deadline. And yeah, that's the only thing. If Daniel Jones would have went down earlier, and like I said, I'm not wishing injury on anybody. If he would have went down early, you might have seen a push for Winston or Wilson possibly from the Colts. And the way they was giving away picks, who knows what we would have probably got for either Winston or Wilson at the time. The way they just throwing around first-round picks. But just think of that situation for the Colts, man. They gave up everything, pushed all their chips into the center of the table because they saw a run with Daniel Jones, gave up first-round pick for Sauce Gardner. For it all to crumble. And now you look at him like, what are you doing? Philip Rivers, of all the people, Philip Rivers off the couch. Philip Rivers off the couch. I'm trying to remember what school Philip Rivers went to. Where did Philip Rivers go? But instead of him saying Philip Rivers, such and such university, what school did Philip Rivers go to? Ben went to Miami of Ohio. Eli went to Ole Miss. Where did Philip Rivers come from? I don't know. I can't remember it. North Carolina State. Thank you. You guys are the best. NC State. That's right. I like Philip Rivers too. I like Philip Rivers. I sure did. Shout out to my man Vocal Vike in the building. Vocal Vike will be on the War Room this week. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. I know you guys got your own stuff going on with them Vikings, man. But I can't wait to sit down and talk with you, brother. Shout out to my man Vocal Vike in the building. Greg T says Rivers is from North Alabama and went to NC State. Shout out to Alabama too, man. That's my whole father's side of the family is Alabama. Shout out to Alabama. I like Phillip Rivers. I never liked his throwing motion. He was super tough, but I always liked the way that Phillip Rivers talked trash. Phillip Rivers, as far as quarterbacks go, top trash talker. Top trash talker. Didn't back down. He got in linebackers' faces. He got in everybody's face. I like the way that Phillip Rivers played ball. I liked his attitude. I think he would have been good here too. But we got 2 Super Bowls with Eli, so it is what it is. Wolfpack, thank you very much. Joseph Wilcox said, how about Colin? Yeah, man. You know Colin Kaepernick got to be sick. Colin Kaepernick, he's still out there practicing day to day, every day. He had high schools throwing to receivers. Like he been ready to go. They ain't called Cap though. I tell you what though, Cap probably give you better results than Phillip Rivers is going to give you tomorrow. That's a fact. I might be eating these words tomorrow too, man. We'll see what happens. Glenn Brown says, Dash, it takes a special person to play in New York. I think Phillip Rivers would have been fine in New York. Again, I'm happy with Eli, 2-time Super Bowl MVP. I'm happy with Eli. I don't think that Phillip Rivers would have had an issue in New York. And a lot of people say it's tough. It's not the beat writers. It's not the people asking the questions in the building that makes it tough in New York. It's just the spotlight of national media. And you really ain't sitting in the room with these guys. You got to turn on your television to see what the national media is saying. But when you're in the locker room, when you're at the pressers, the beat writers here, that's not where New York is tough. Let me know if you guys agree. That's a fact, Isaac. Eli got 2, Rivers got 0. Goose egg. That's a fact. And Phillip Rivers had the other LT. Shout out to LaDainian Tomlinson, but he's still the other LT. He's not LT. He's the other LT. Hall of Famer, too, respectfully. Teddy Bridgewater got... Where's Teddy Bridgewater at? Minnesota? I know he was in Detroit. Where's Teddy Bridgewater? Miami? I don't know. It's too many people try to keep up with. But it's a lot of names, man. It's a lot of names out there that they could have called. But Phillip Rivers, I know Phillip Rivers was there. That was his last stop, before he went home. But come on. The Bucks. Okay, that's where Teddy Bridgewater was at the Bucks. Okay. Florida team. I was almost right. Stephen R. says Dart has Rivers' moxie. Not quite. Not quite. Dart has swag. I have not seen Dart talk trash the way Rivers talk. Like Rivers is like Macho Man out there talking trash. Dart got the moxie and the swag after the play. Like after the touchdown, the dancing, the styling, the style that he has going into the games, his the outfit and stuff like that. When his name is called out and the smoke is going. Dart got all that presence. I haven't seen him be on the field talking trash the way that Phillip Rivers talk trash. I would love to see it though. Like he's tough. He celebrates after the play, but I've never seen him in somebody's face talking trash. Not saying that it might not. I think he got it in him. Pause. Maybe. Possibly. I would love to see it, but I can't call him Rivers yet. I can't call it. Like we seen Baker Mayfield talk trash to people, to players. We've seen that. That's true. Dart hasn't been mic'd up. That's true. At least I don't think so. I don't think so, right? No, he hasn't. I don't think he has. I would love to see it. Like I would have loved to hear Dart in the Philadelphia game. Mic'd up for the Philadelphia game, the first one. I think that would have been dope. Q Burrow says Dart will be talking next year. He barely knows the playbook right now. He's gonna have to learn a whole new playbook. Wait till he's comfortable. It said, and he knows his team ain't cheeks. One thing I did I like the way that this team responded in the Patriots game outside of the whistle. Like you saw JMS, with the extracurricular activities, Theo Johnson with the extracurricular activities, throwing bows or blows after the whistle, standing up for Dart, whatever. You never seen that. I remember 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the Dallas game, when we lost to Dallas, we got blown out by Dallas in the opener. I remember when Daniel Jones, might have been the first or second play of the game, he slid and they hit him late, and nobody did a damn thing. Nobody did a damn thing. It was JMS's rookie year, so it was 2024, whatever. I know we were playing Dallas. Daniel Jones slid, they hit him late, and nobody did a thing. Nobody ran. I think Andrew Thomas ran over there to pick him up, but nobody went after the Dallas players. I said, "Oh, this game is over." It was like the second. It might have been the first or second play of the game. Nobody did a damn thing. It was before it was a blowout, though. It was before it was a blowout. I see, but I knew it. But you see Dart now. They throwing fisticuffs out there. Old school Notre Dame with the fisticuffs, man. It's different. I think Theo Johnson was a little bit hesitant, though, when he went after old boy. He was a little hesitant with the push. It looked like he was holding back a little bit, but he ended up getting flagged. If you're going to get flagged, you might as well go all out. But I like the way they reacted to it. Van Roten was out there doing this thing. Runyon was out there. And it's crazy thing. Runyon should be way tough, because I remember Runyon's pops. Super tough. I don't know if Runyon got that in him. Little Runyon. But Greg Van Roten, yeah, he was in there cleaning piles, man. Clearing out piles. JMS, people forget, like Theo Johnson did the the initial shove was Theo Johnson. The camera panned. You saw it was JMS doing the cleanup work after that. JMS is the one that got down and dirty. Pause. But I liked it, because I haven't seen that out of JMS. But when you got players that not only love their quarterback, but also feel like their quarterback is that guy, you see the different reactions. When it was Daniel Jones, you saw Andrew Thomas by himself picking him up by his shoulder pads. When it's Jackson Dart, it turned into a scuffle. And I like it. And I think a lot of people like it. Stephen R. says Runyon Sr. was tough against everyone but Strahan. He tried with Strahan. Strahan just was too good for him. But he tried. Nah, not last week. Now that I'll say this, Mac. After the whistle was blown, like when the play was still happening, we was getting bullied. But when it was time to fight, that's all of a sudden. And I put out a tweet. I said I wish they would do more fighting before the whistle blew. Fight during the play. Don't fight after the play. But it is what it is. BX Creator says draft a quarterback. You're not sold on Dart, I'm assuming. BX Creator Hip Hop, that's a fact. That is a fact. But draft a quarterback, I don't know if that's a fact, man. I don't know if that's a fact. You're right. You're right to feel the way you want to feel. Everybody got their own opinion. It's true. You might not be sold yet. It might be, fool's gold to be sold already. I'm just saying, it looks like he might be the guy. Q Burrow says blasphemy. And we ain't talking a Tupac song. It is what it is. JMS didn't look soft, man. Not to me. Not to me. Listen, we went way off topic. I did want to talk about we got some of the chat topics. I'll just say that. So even though I went off track, I'm going to count that as being on track for the chat topics. I want to talk about this channel growth, man. Again, shout out to y'all. Shout out to everybody listening right now. The channel, like I say it all the time, the channel is growing, and it's all because of you guys. I saw the channel subscribers jump when I started doing these live shows. It seems like everybody likes the live shows, so I do appreciate the love and support. We're almost there at the 10,000 subscriber mark. Again, salute to y'all. Thanks to everybody out there showing their love and support. So we almost there. Not sure exactly what I'm going to do here when we do hit that 10K mark, Lord willing. But we definitely got to do something special. But again, I talk New York Giants football all the time. That's the Giants. That's my heart, my soul. I would do it. I talk Giants before the channel. I'm gonna talk Giants forever. But again, we moving on to the off season. Obviously, I want to grow the channel even more. Last year I dibble and dabble, pause. I don't know if that's a pause or not, into college prospects, draft talk, Senior Bowl, combine, stuff like that. It seems that people tend to like things like that. So this offseason, I plan on taking an even deeper dive into the draft and the college prospects and stuff like that. So let me know if you guys are interested in that. Because that's what I definitely want to do. I talk Giants when the Giants are playing, and then when we get into the off season, maybe talk a little bit more in general about the NFL and also, again, all of these college prospects. So let me know what you guys think about that, man. Let me know what you guys think about that. Obviously, I got some other plans too. Obviously, there's some events that I do want to go to. I do want to go to the Senior Bowl. I do want to eventually get credentials to go to the combine and stuff like that. So I'm working, man. I'm working. I just wanted to tell everybody thank you for the love and support, because without you guys, I wouldn't even be close to, reaching some of these goals. And yeah, just want to say thank you. I appreciate everybody out there for listening. And hopefully everybody appreciates, again, being able to have a place to go. Again, it's Saturday night, late night Giants talk on Saturdays now. Once the season is over, instead of doing, obviously we can't do the War Room Wednesdays when the season is over because we won't be playing anybody. So I might turn that into, instead of just getting rid of that show, another late night Giants talk, but a weekday edition. So let me know if you guys feel that or not. So that's what I'm saying. So that's my topic for the channel growth. When it's time to go into the off season, talking a little bit more about those things, not just current events that happen with the Giants, but all about college prospects. And then, an additional live outside of the late night Giants talk on Saturday, doing another one on Wednesdays. We'll see what happens. But that's what I'm thinking about, man. So you guys let me know what you guys think about that. And it is what it is. Louis Cedino says, I want to hear it all. That's a fact. I appreciate it. Got 90s Aura says, like and subscribe, people. Now, I appreciate the love and support for sure, man. Like I said, when I started this channel in 2022, the goal was 100 subscribers. Got that. Then the goal was 1,000 subscribers. And then we just moved on from that. Shout out to my man, Prince Castro, too, man. I don't think he's in here tonight, listening tonight. He's not comments tonight. But he's one of the day one dudes that told me, you know what, Dash, I can see you hitting that 10K mark. And when he put that out in the atmosphere, I said, you know what, I'm going to hold on to that pulse. And I'm going to make that the goal. And here we are 3 years later, almost at that 10K mark. It might not be a lot to some people, but it means a lot to me. So I do appreciate the love and support again. So shout out to everybody. BX Creator says Dart needs much improvement, like learning how to slide and run out of bounds. You know what? I think that's an attitude thing for him that he needs to fix. He needs to realize that we already know that you're a tough guy. We already know that you're willing to throw your body on the line. But you know what? We know what's more important than being a tough guy is being available. So to your point, BX, you got to slide. You got to run out of bounds. Also, you got to know when to throw it in the stands too. Live to fight another play. Shout out to John Witherspoon. Shout out to Friday for those people. And rest in peace, John Witherspoon, for that. But you live. You live to fight another day. You got to live to fight another play. It is what. Shout out to a dad's life. Said, I definitely like to hear more about college prospects. Yeah, man. Listen, I love college football, man. I love college football. I love jumping down a rabbit hole, every off season when it comes to the Senior Bowl, combine, mock drafts and all that other stuff. And again, a lot of the mock drafts that I do now or did last year or this year, actually, people seem to watch in and tune in for those. So I do want to make sure I do that on a more general level too, not just, this guy is perfect for the Giants, but also want to talk about the prospects as a whole. Because, well, fortunately for me, the Giants have so many holes that, like, no position is off limits. Pause. That's crazy. No football position is off limits. except for like talking. I probably won't talk a lot about the quarterbacks outside of the main guys that possibly could be drafted in the first round and how, the Giants might get some draft capital for trading back for them. But like linebackers, wide receivers for sure, defensive linemen, offensive linemen, safeties, everything. I like to discuss all that. So shout out to y'all, man. Max said JMS barely moved the guy. You talking about after the play or during the play? During the play, he was struggling. Like the Patriots was putting belt to ass, man. It wasn't nothing good to look at, except for when it was scuffling on the sideline. Scuffling on. Guess what? He got him on the ground on the sideline. He didn't do it during the play, but he got him on the ground on the sideline when it was after the whistle was blown. Dart never threw 4 interceptions. Like, so we beefing in the chat. Somebody, is this a reaction to what somebody said, Steven? Dart never threw 4 interceptions like Hurts or 2 turnovers in one play. Knock on wood. I don't need him throwing 4 interceptions tomorrow. So we're going to knock on wood. We're going to knock on wood for that one. Ebro and Rosenberg what they got to do with us? Show got canceled after how many years, right? Shout out to Ebro, man. Shout out to Rosenberg, too. Joseph says, good night, Dad. See you tomorrow after we win. That's a fact. I will be live for the reaction right after the game. Yeah, I think we're going to win, Joe. So, actually, Joe, before you go, Joe, give me a prediction. I did last week. I forgot to do predictions. And maybe that's why we lost so bad. It's because we didn't do a prediction. We got to do a prediction. Before you go, Joe, give me a prediction, please. What's good, Sleazy? Dash, what that got to do with us? Absolutely nothing. Okay, I got you. Gangstar says 21-20. You got a tie, Gangster? Gangstar? A tie? Thank you very much, Joe. Joe says 31-7. That's right. You said it earlier today. My bad. But we're going to keep doing it. Team Zavala says 27-24. Commanders. Deadskins. Okay. Joseph Salvatore says 27-14 Giants. I'm here for that. Stephen R. 24-0 New York. All right. That sounds good to me. So make sure you guys get your predictions in. We are almost at the 2-hour mark. So once we get these predictions in, I'm going to get on out of here, man, unless somebody else got something that they want to talk about. But we done made it through the topics. Hopefully everybody had a good time. But I'm going to hold on for a little bit longer to see what people got to say. If there's anything else anybody wants to say before we head on out. BX Created Hip Hop said 29-27. I'm assuming he says Giants. Christopher Tony says 28-22. And again, happy belated birthday to you, Chris. Glenn Brown says 24-13 Giants. JDJ Kafka was once on Def Comedy Jam. Huh? Big Bro says 24-17 Giants. Sleazy says 27-14 Giants. Win Ford Expedition 38-11 Giants. I wish. You know what? That'll send me into the offseason happy. Because the way these Commander fans was talking trash all summer long and the way that they fell from grace was probably the one thing that made me happy this season. And I don't like being happy in somebody else's sorrow. But the way them Commander fans was talking trash all summer long, Super Bowl or bust, they were saying, you guys are basement dwellers is what they called us. Shout out to Rio, man. Rio Robinson called your basement dwellers. And guess we kept the seat warm for you in the basement because you're right there next to us. Shout out to Rio, though. Isaac Moore says 20-10. Dad's Life 27-23. Giants. Sleazy says, that's the thing, Dash. They don't want to win no more, at least half of the. Yeah, it is bad. It's sad, man. And I understand why people want to lose. I understand why. I just can't do it. I can't root for losses. I can't do it. I can't do it for the life of me. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can understand it, but I can't do it myself. I can't. Mr. Is it Mr. Shade? Mr. Shade says 32-13 Giants. Giants. I'm sorry. Got 90s. Aura says if we lose, Catholic can take his 1.000000001% Puerto Rican ass to Puerto Rico. Hilarious. Max says I want the number one pick. A lot of people do. It's the golden ticket. It's a trip to the chocolate factory. That number one pick, man. It's a lottery ticket. I understand. I want the number one pick too. I just don't want to lose. Luann says 27-14 Giants. Joseph Wilcox says you're not a real fan. All caps. Real fan if you want to lose. Shout out to my man Joe. Shout out to Papa Joe, man. Shout out to the family. Shout out to the grandkids. How's everybody doing? Stephen R says Bad Bunny halftime show. I'm going to get seconds for the halftime show. That's what's going to happen for me. That's Super. I'm not interested in Bad Bunny. In all honesty, not interested at all. In Bad Bunny, it is what it is though. Nothing against Bad Bunny. I don't listen to him. But you know what? I'm not going to sit here and throw a petition up for Bad Bunny to get removed from the halftime show. You know what I'm gonna do? What I do best: mind my business, go do something else, and then when the game's back on, sit my black ass down and watch the rest of the game. Ford Expedition says number one is too stressful. Not this year. Not when the goal is to trade back. Not stressful at all. Because your goal is to trade the pick. It might be stressful if you end up having to keep the pick. That's what it is. Dad's Life says I want the pick too, but no way I'm rooting for an L. Just can't do it, man. Absolutely can't do it. We trade regardless. That's a fact. If we land in the top 5, we trading regardless. And I think you will have a partner. Because outside of Mendoza and Dante Moore, people want Arvell Reese. People might want Caleb Downs, even though he's a cornerback, but people might want the wide receiver or the offensive lineman. You still might have a trade partner. Christopher Tony says no losing period. That's the mentality. But like I said, again, I understand why. I just can't do it. Even if it's in the best interest of the Giants, I'm still not doing it. Can't do it. Draftman. Mendoza ain't better than the Shador Sanders. And I mean that. And I like Mendoza. He ain't better. He ain't even better than Shador Sanders. And I like Mendoza a lot. I do. What happened to Charles Cross? As far as I know, he's still with the Seahawks. As far as I know. Carnell Tate a bust. I like Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate for me right now is the best complimentary wide receiver to Malik Neighbors. I will say this. Shout out to Mekhi Lemon winning the Biletnikoff though. We don't know what Malik Neighbors is going to look like when we first get him back. And even though I like Carnell Tate as the perfect complimentary wide receiver to Malik Neighbors, Mekhi Lemon might be the better option. Jordan Tyson scares me because of his injury history that nobody seems to be talking about. But Mekhi Lemon is the most explosive wide receiver in this draft. I'm saying that right now. I'll say that going into the draft, at the draft, Mekhi Lemon is the most explosive wide receiver in this draft. And trust me, I've seen what Jordan Tyson can do. Mekhi Lemon is more explosive than Jordan Tyson. Now, as far as levels go, you got Mekhi Lemon, and then Jordan Tyson is like right there with him for sure. And then Carnell Tate is probably right here. But Carnell Tate got the size that you want, pause. The height that you want, the catch radius that you want, speed. Already is a number 2. So I'm not mad at any one of those guys. I'm just saying. Q Burrow says y'all say Mendoza's not better than Sanders, and that is true. But let's not forget Sanders was a projected top 5 pick. It was crazy how he slid. It wasn't crazy how he's all right. It wasn't crazy how he slid. It was wrong how he slid. Even the people that did not like Shedeur Sanders still had him going in at least the second round. They said, you know what? He's just not a first round pick. None of the specialists had Shedeur Sanders falling as far as he did. And people took victory laps. People took victory laps when he slid to the 5th round. People laughed when people called acting like a team and he was getting ready to be drafted and it was prank calls. People laughed at that. When Dillon Gabriel got the snaps over Shedeur Sanders, what did they say? And after all of that, and even after, the whole mime thing, he can't say anything and he couldn't do anything right. Even after that, the man has 3 starts and already looks like he could be the next quarterback for the Cleveland Browns if they're not dumb enough to go ahead and try to draft over him. What they don't realize is this. You might have lucked into Shedeur Sanders, but at the end of the day, after that, you have a quarterback that could be the future of your franchise for a dirt cheap price. So imagine what you can do for the next 3 years, building a team, not having to worry about paying a quarterback not even $10 million a year. His whole contract might be $10 million. You got him for dirt cheap. Build your team the right way. You made a mistake and you got lucky. Go ahead and roll with it. But despite all that, guess what? The kid never stopped smiling. And that made people even more angry with him because they couldn't break his will. And again, I'm a Giants fan saying this, but I'm also a Shedeur Sanders fan. Happy with Jackson Dart. But it's funny how people now move the goalposts for him. It is what it is. And also, they said, he's running around. He's taking sacks. Guess who else run around and take sacks? Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, all these quarterbacks do. Oh, he threw an interception. Guess who threw 4 interceptions? The Super Bowl MVP. It's cool when they do it, but it's a problem when he do it. It is what it is. And guess what? The next 4 games for the Cleveland Browns, you get to know exactly what Shedeur Sanders is. He's playing the Ravens. He's playing the Steelers. He's playing the Buffalo Bills. And I think he's playing the Vikings. I think. But you'll know exactly what it is. And then at the end of the day, you can have this discussion. I care, but I don't care. Why? Because I have my franchise quarterback in Jackson Dart, and I'm happy with him. Win-win situation for me. Pause on taking sack. Y'all know what I meant, man. Y'all know what I meant. There's no way to not pause that. I'm sorry. There's no way to not do that. Mike Thomas says Kendrick Perkins, the most powerful black. Yeah, whatever. Kendrick Perkins was wilding when he made that comment. Usually I can say I understand what you're saying. I understand what you think. Nah, he was wilding when he said that. I will say this though. For so many people to not like him, he can surely get an emotion out of him. You don't like him, you don't like him at all? Why are you so upset when he's succeeding? But that's a conversation for another show and not my show. I appreciate everybody for vibing. We hit the 2-hour mark. My prediction for the New York Giants versus the Commanders tomorrow is pain for the Commanders. Jackson Dart, 3 touchdown game, 2 in the air, 1 on the ground, or either 1 in the air, 2 on the ground. And yeah, the New York Giants get the dub in the legacy jerseys And all because my man TP Way the Giant will be in the building. And every time he goes to the New York Giants game, the New York Giants win. Shout out to my man TP, man. Y'all have a good night, man. I appreciate everybody for vibing with me. What is it? Yeah, we hit the 2-hour mark. So yeah, we good. Make sure I hit all the super chats. Again, if you are not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that. Also, make sure you hit the like button. It's never too late to hit the like button. Even when the show's over, hit the like button. But with that being said, I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows Big Blue Nation.